Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to False Count Radio. Without further ado, let's welcome our featured guest of the evening, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling original, Little Egypt. How are you?
Good, JT. How are you? Pitbull, Jimmy, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Jimmy, go ahead.
Looks like we lost Jimmy. Is Pitbull on the line?
Yeah, I'm Jimmy here. And Pitbull are there.
How you been?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Good. How are you guys doing? Thanks for inviting me on your show today. So, I was listening to you guys talk earlier, and sorry about all the losses that I've just heard about. It's a real shame, and I'm sorry about the trials and tribulations of indie wrestling right now. It's a tough time.
Oh, yeah, the economy really does suck. Mm-hmm. Gary, you know all about, the economy and being able to not get as many bookings.
Oh, yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. But back to Egypt. You worked for Glow in the first couple of years it started?
I was an original Glow girl. I came in at the end of Season 1. I wrestled through Season 2 till I got hurt. And then the show split. I went with a lot of the original Glow girls, went with Powell on a bus tour. We did that for a little bit. And then I just couldn't, I tried to wrestle. I didn't have any confidence in my knee. I hurt my knee wrestling. Had no confidence. So that was it. I was done. I retired at the age of 20.
Age 20?
Yeah.
When did you start? How old were you when you started?
I was 19 when I was discovered actually working at a T-shirt shop in Las Vegas. They were filming the Glow show at the Riviera Hotel, and I was working in a T-shirt shop in Mount Fiji, and Olympia came in to have a T-shirt made for a match, and I just was blown away by the size of Mount Fiji, and I just couldn't stop talking to her, and she told me that I should come down and audition, and the next thing you know, I was training to be a wrestler, and 2 weeks after my training, I was on air, so you got to see, it's just kind of unheard of to put a wrestler with such little training out on air like that, but they had spots to fill, and basically you saw my character evolve in her training on air till I got hurt.
Wow, that's really awesome. You don't get to see that very often.
No.
Especially nowadays. You have to go from the Indies to the WWE Farm Team or the TNA Farm Team and then go from there.
Oh, yeah, and those girls are great. The girls that we see now, I'm just so impressed with their technique. They're good. They're just good, and I'm just as... I was around 20 years ago, and we were just learning the basics, and just like any sport, it just evolves and gets better and more dramatic, and off the ropes, and it's just so impressive. I just love watching these girls now. I'm glad to be part of women's wrestling. I'm glad that I was there in the early stages of it. Women's wrestling, was always around, and there's always legends in women's wrestling, but it was mostly thought of kind of an exhibition match prior to the Glow show. Glow was the first show to ever air women's wrestling, and it lasted 4 years. At the end of the show, they had over 6 million viewers. After Glow went off the air, years later, it went into global syndication, picked up viewers over the last 10 years. It aired in Peru, South America. You can go on YouTube and just kind of see where it was dubbed. It's been in Germany, and it was just the cast of Season 1 and 2. That's why there seems to be a bigger following for the Season 1 and 2 girls versus 3 and 4. Not that they were any better or not. It's just that the following was bigger because of what actually was shipped out.
Wow, and I've seen the YouTube views. They're insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's awesome, JT, because when I see the comments and I look, you can see like the ages, and it's just like, wow, you weren't even born when this show was on. It just blows my mind. So it's fun that it's still out there. It has a cult following now. I love that. I just think it's awesome that that these characters, are being duplicated. There's still, there's always going to be a farmer's daughter somewhere down the road. There's always going to be a Marine. There's always going to be a terrorist. It's awesome. I just love it.
Oh, yeah. You're a lasting image, through YouTube. Plus, you have a way on a social network for fans to keep up with you, and they can follow you as well on Facebook. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I built a Little Egypt profile on Facebook just for the fans. You can find it if you put in a name search for Glow as the first name and then Little Egypt as the last name. I'll pop right up. Join that Facebook profile. We have a lot of fun on that profile. I like to put out, funny one-liners and stuff to keep everyone up to date as far as what's going on with the different characters. We are basically we're just about finishing up a Glow documentary, JT. It's a working title. The last working title, I think it's going to be called From Guts to Glitter, The Story of Glow. And when that gets done, it'll be ready for, it'll be ready for sale. The fun part about that Glow documentary has been reconnecting with some of my wrestling buddies from the last 20 years. I mean, if you can imagine just being out of touch with them and then all of a sudden them coming back to the service. I was just talking to Chainsaw the other day. I've talked to Tina. You had mentioned Tina Ferrari becoming Ivory in the WWE. I was just talking to her the other day and talked to David McLean. I talked to Johnny Cafarella. I talked to Babe, the farmer's daughter. We're still looking for other Glow girls, and it's been fun. I've been able to update people on my Facebook profile, letting them know who I'm in touch with, who I'm still looking for, and I get help from the fans. They, I feel like I'm chasing down leads, but it's been fun because it has helped me connect to a lot of the Glow girls, and in turn, they're connecting with each other. It's been fabulous. We're having such a fun time.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it. I have one more question for you before I kick it over to Gary. You actually brought up the promoter, David McLean. I wanted to know, what your thoughts on him were, considering that he also ran other companies like Powerful Women of Wrestling, Ladies Sports Club, and the Women of Wrestling from 2000 to 2001.
Yeah. I love David. David was awesome. He was such a big part of the show, season 1 and 2 as the announcer. He was awesome in the skits. He did great play-by-play. I mean, it's just, when I hear him, the way he commentates, it's just, he could really sell. I just love that about David. He was fun to be with, and I think that's why when Glow split at the end of season 2, so many of the original cast members went with David because he was fun to be with, and we believed in him, so we followed him. And later, that same cast turned into Powell, and that's how Powell originated.
Gary, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, was the lady, Stallone's mom, was she a part of that company?
Well, she was a character on the show. She knew the director very well. They were good friends. We knew that it would be a fun tie-in to have Jackie be the good girl manager, and that was the character that she played. As far as, was she involved in the production of the show? No, she was not.
No, I was just curious about it, because I remember seeing her, because, I used to watch it. I'm not going to lie to anybody. When I was younger, and
it's nothing to be ashamed of, Gary.
No, man, hell no. If you didn't watch it, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah, Jackie, I met her a couple times. She came in whenever we were doing, whenever we needed to do any type of filming for skits and whatever Jackie was being used for. And boy, we just surrounded her and just couldn't stop asking her about her. What's it like to be the mother of Sylvester Stallone? She was so nice and always talked to us. She never put on air. She was a real natural, down-to-earth kind of person, and she was really. It was awesome. I was glad to be a good girl because I got to get a little closer to her. And my very first match, Jackie was in the audience. It was against the Heavy Metal Sisters. And then later that same day, I came out again and took on the Housewives, which are also the Heavy Metal Sisters. So it was really fun because, having Jackie there, E.T. was there filming that day too. It was just like, wow, my very first day wrestling, and Jackie Stallone's here, and it made national. So we were pretty excited. It was fun. A lot of stuff going on for a 19-year-old back then. So it was better than folding T-shirts.
Jimmy, go ahead.
So what have you been up to since Glow went off and you had your injury and you retired?
Well, I stayed in Vegas, and also Nanuchka stayed in Vegas. Susie Spirit stayed in Vegas. Little Feathers here in Vegas. David McLean's back in Vegas, although he goes back and forth from Indianapolis. So there's a core group of girls that kind of stayed. For me, I got into real estate. I built a business. I got married. I have a 16-year-old son now. And, I just enjoyed being a mom, just focused on being the best person I could possibly be, and just enjoyed my life. So, and now because of the resurgence of Glow and the interest in the Glow documentary and kind of connecting again with the girlfriends, it's been really, really fun. And I've just kind of started opening that door again in my life, and it's been really fun. It's been fun for me. It's been fun for my son. It's kind of cool when my son hears stuff like this and gets to see all the nice comments on YouTube and stuff like that. That his mom, kind of a badass. I'm just kidding, but I like to bring that up to him every chance I get. I'm like, don't you dare. You don't know who you're messing with. But no, life's good. Life's been really good for me, and thankfully, as I'm coming through and connecting with my fellow Glow girls again, I'm finding out that life's been very good for them too.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I actually had one more question before I kicked it back to Gary. My question for you was, what are your memories of Steve Blanks, who was the senior referee in Senior 2 that always used to get beat up?
Oh, yeah. Steve was also the writer. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he wrote all the comedy sketches. Matilda did a lot of writing too. She wrote some of the girls' raps, but Steve wrote my rap, the Little Egypt rap. He was the one that wrote that. So for Steve was such a big part of the show. He was there during everything. It wasn't just the reffing that he did. That was kind of like fun for him, but he was very, very involved in the match coordination. All the writing was done by Steve. And now, and he's still very, very involved in wrestling and working hard with Johnny Caffarella and launching Wrestlelicious, which is a new women's wrestling show.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that? It seems like a modern-day Glow.
I love it.
And I know that aren't a couple of the original Glow girls actually working with the production crew?
Well, Hollywood signed as a cast member. I don't, as far as what role she's going to play, I'm not privileged to that information. But have you checked out the YouTube promotions on Wrestlelicious? Have you seen any of their online stuff?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them.
Oh, man, it looks so good to me. I love the quality of the production of Wrestlelicious. I love that it has the campy feel. I love that they're doing skits. I love the characters. I love the makeup. Seeing it portrayed like that, it just, it's a compliment. It's a huge compliment. I know Johnny Caffarella. I'm happy for him. I'm excited about what's going on, and I can't wait for it to get launched. I can't wait to see it on television. There's a lot of really good wrestlers on that show.
Yeah, from the teasers that they put up, I would have to agree with you. We actually have a caller calling in from the 305.
Okay.
Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, this is Todd in Miami. Hello, Little Egypt. I'm one of your fans on Facebook.
Hey, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing good. The other day I showed my daughters some of the Glow stuff on YouTube, and I was wondering, that got them to pull out my old yearbooks and saw some of my 80s hair, but do you guys get teased? Do you guys get teased for the old 80s look?
Now, Todd, okay, I grew up in the 80s. I'm a product of the 80s.
Me too.
Oh my God. And when I look back at the hair, and it just makes me laugh. I love it. It just brings back, it's good memories. It was a fun time in my life, and I just, the teasing and all that. You should have seen, we went through a case of Aquanet at every shooting. I mean, there was like a case, and hair and makeup and hairspray. Oh my God, it was crazy, but it was what was in style. And I look back and I love it. I laugh. it's not what I'm doing now with my hair, Todd.
Oh, no.
What are you doing with your hair?
I mean, I had the Jerry curl, as my daughters say, Soul Glow from Coming to America. And I'm actually bald head now, and thank God I am. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Is that because you lost your hair?
No, it's because I cut it.
Oh.
I mean, I my kids see that and they're like, Dad, you know, they and I got a 16-year-old too, and I mean, they say, Dad, you watch that? I'm like, yeah, it was great. And I'm a big wrestling fan anyway, and they tease me about that. I can't believe you watched that. Look at that 80s hair, and look at all that glitter, and I'm thinking to myself, that was TV back then.
Well, Todd, were you a fan of the heels or the baby faces?
I was a heel as a baby face. I loved the good girl, but then again, I kind of liked Anushka too. She was kind of like my favorite, but I loved, and one of my favorites was the little skits like do.
Oh yeah, the California doll. Points to ponder.
Points to ponder. If Palestina worked for the telephone company, would she be part of a telephone? Do. I mean, some of that was classic. And my
God.
And the weird doctor guy.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Fielding Grope or something. Right. Oh, my God, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was awesome stuff. I know, those skits is what set Glow apart from regular, just what we were so used to seeing as far as wrestling. I mean, it really took it to a really campy, fun, hee-haw kind of level of wrestling, and it's been tried to be duplicated, nothing really has had that staying power. So,
and I think one of the funniest things is David McLean was at Glow Productions, and there was a phone booth.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was hilarious too. David McLean could really do skits. Right. He was awesome. No one gives him a lot of credit, but he was just really good. He was so involved in the production. He was a producer, and he knew wrestling, and he came from wrestling, and kudos for all that. But he was really good in front of the camera. And he had that cute little hair parted to the side, and his tuxedo on, and then he could sell. Oh, he was so fun to watch. He was really awesome. I love watching Dave McLean, and he's doing good. He's he's still working and still doing the same thing, and he continued on with his promotions and stuff like that, and life's been good to David. So I'm glad to hear that too.
That's
great.
Great. Like I said, and I remember Powell. Me and a couple friends of mine, we drove to the Hammond Civic Center in Hammond, Indiana, and we saw the Powell show.
In what year? Do you know? Was it the first Powell Tour?
I think so, because it wasn't Tina Ferrari, it was Nina. She was Nina. Then there was Polly Alizar Yerovic was Palestina. That was her name on the show.
Yeah.
Then there was, instead of Attaché, it was Jeannie Beret or something like that.
That's right. Yep, that's right. And I was, because my knee, I was still in recovery on my knee. I was on the beginning part of that tour. I'm not sure what city did you say that was?
It was Hammond, Indiana. I lived in Chicago, and me and my friends, we drove all the way to Hammond just to see that show. And at that time, if I'm not mistaken, Wendy Richter was with David McLean as one of the hosts.
Man, I'm not sure. I remember I was on the beginning part of that Powell Tour, and I was Palestina's manager.
Oh, okay.
I came out and I hit her sand, and I was a bad girl for the first time, and I was after taking all that abuse as a good girl, and we were so dominated. We were outnumbered in season 2 by bad girls. Everyone, wanted to tear your head off, but to be on the other side of the fence and get to play a heel, it was so fun. And Palestina was, God, I miss her. We're really trying hard to find her. We have no luck on where she's at or what she's done, but boy, what a talent. What an unbelievable talent. she could do her accent so good. And I remember I can't remember where we were at. We were on Powell Tour, and someone came in to do an interview, and she's like, oh, my God, I don't really know what I'm going to say. And if they start asking me all sorts of stuff about Palestine, I'm just gonna start screaming, and we're gonna get the hell out of there. And I'm like, okay. So he came in, and he started asking Palestina these questions about wrestling and how she started in wrestling, and then he started asking her about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and then she looked at me, and then she screamed at him, and she just, in her accent, started gibberish in like this made up language, and then I looked at him and said, well, now you've done it. you've made her angry, and we stormed out and closed the door, and he just kind of looked like, what the hell just happened? And Palestina was just like, oh my God, don't ever put me in that position again. She's just so fun. She was so fun. I love Palestina, and I just loved watching her work. It was so entertaining. She could really keep a crowd, too. She really knew how to keep them drawn into her, and she really knew how to, make every move work, and she knew how to sell everything. She was so good. She was good.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'd like to thank that guy for calling in. Gary, you got a question? Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was just at an autograph signing, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very surprised to see so many girls that were there that I'd never even heard of or even seen before. What do you think the difference is between back then when you wrestled compared to the girls nowadays that are wrestling?
Well, there was no other girls back in the day when I was wrestling. I mean, we were kept tight at the Riviera Hotel. We never went anywhere or did anything. We had to, we had rehearsals and we had shoots, and that was it. When it was over, it was over. So the director tried to keep everything really tight and closed around us because he did not want us to know, how successful the show was. He wanted to make sure that, he kept a rein on his talent, and it was really strict. I mean, we were there I was pretty much working 3 days a week in training. Then we had rehearsal work, and then our shoots on Saturday. That was it. And when it was over, it was over. We didn't own our characters. We didn't take our characters out on our own. We didn't build from those characters. That was, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Because nowadays there's a lot of independent girls that are going around working at AAA and all over independent workers. And honestly, I don't even think I don't know how long they've been working, to be honest with you. I mean, you said you started when you were 19. These girls these girls are, I think, maybe younger than that, or maybe a
really?
Maybe a little bit older than that, I guess.
Mhm.
And but I'd never even seen them or heard of them before, and I was just surprised that when I was at this autograph sign, I seen this table and there's like 4 girls there, and I never even realized who they were because I'd never even seen them before. So
yeah, well, there's so much more opportunity, don't you think, Gary?
Yeah,
as far as there's with all the indie work and everything that's going on out there, and the way that you can use the internet to build fan bases, and you can get real inexpensive ways of promoting yourself, and you can create characters that you can elevate at a faster level. So I just think the opportunities out there, and and that's great. I just think it's great. We didn't have those opportunities. It was, if we were lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, great. And that was it.
Yeah. Now, did you guys have to? Now, did they train you guys to wrestle on a regular basis?
That's such a good question, because originally the first part of the season 1 cast all were sent to California, and they were trained in wrestling. When I got involved at the end of season 1, there was still training around Attaché, who also went on to be Jeannie Beret later in Powell. She was our trainer, and let me tell you, she was good. She took wrestling very, very seriously, and I don't know if you're familiar with her matches or not, or have seen her work, but she's a very clean wrestler. She takes very good bumps. She's very technically oriented. she knew what she was doing, and when she wasn't in the ring training, she was learning as many moves as she possibly can. She was out there, she was watching what she could watch, she was learning, and she was constantly training herself so that she can make us better wrestlers. That was our training from the last half of season 1 on through to season 2. Attaché was our trainer, and we were not required to go to training, but I was there all the time because I knew nothing about wrestling. So for me, I needed to learn as much as I could. So training, I think, was 3 days a week, and I'd be at training those 3 days. When we were putting together matches and we needed attaché maybe to help us choreograph or teach us a new move, she'd come in and help us with those rehearsals. And that's all we got. No, there wasn't a big boot camp. There wasn't, I mean, like I said, for me, my boot camp was 2 weeks. And then everything else I was picking up as I was going on down the road. So there were times where I'd be wrestling, putting together a match with another wrestler, and they wanted to do a new move. And if I wasn't comfortable, I wouldn't do the move. We'd come up with something else because if I didn't see those girls in training with me, I didn't have a lot of faith in their abilities to execute that move, and I wasn't about to lose, to get injured as a result of their wanting to make something look good. I'm sure you found the same thing.
That makes complete sense to me. I wouldn't want to, go out there and get injured.
Yeah.
I just had a couple more questions for you before we wrap this interview up.
Okay.
The Smashing Pumpkins did a song called Glow. I know that you actually got to check that out live. You want to talk about that?
Oh gosh, yeah, that came as a big surprise. Actually, last year about this time, they released a song called Glow, and Billy Corgan was going on his tour around that same time. He was giving a lot of interviews, and every time they brought up the Glow song, he did mention that it was the title was Glow from the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. And then everyone knows it's not a big secret. He's a big fan of wrestling. And, they'd always take off and continue to talk about wrestling. When he came to Vegas, through a mutual friend, I was able to meet him. And, boy, that was so cool sitting, I got to go to the show, and I got to hear him sing the song, and then got to go backstage and meet him. It was really fun and just, so cool to have someone at that level, someone of his caliber can write a song about a show you were in. Oh, yeah, I'll take that. That's pretty sweet. I was pretty excited about that. And then I don't know if you had a chance to catch the Glow video or not that he did. It was a wrestling-based video, and there are some similarities to, I thought, some characters as well as, some wrestling moves and stuff like that. I saw some hair pulling and stuff, and I thought that was really cool. It was really cool because he was staying true to the song that he wrote, which I thought was awesome. What a nice guy, too. Super nice guy. So,
yeah, it was
cool.
It's a great song. If anybody wants to check it out, they can go to youtube.com and check it out.
Yeah.
I had one last question for you, actually. With Ursula Hayden, who portrayed Babe, the farmer's daughter, owning the rights to Glow, could you see Glow being revived?
I would, sure, why not? I can see anything's possible, and I know that she's working really hard with launching a show regarding Glow, and I think it's reality based, and I think it has to do with some more Glow girls. I'm not really familiar with, I'm not involved in the production of that, so I can't speak on her behalf there, but she has been very, very busy getting ready to launch something regarding Glow, and I just think it would be awesome. Wish her all the luck in the world there, because she's a super nice lady. She's worked really hard. She believes in the Glow brand, and hasn't stopped since she acquired the rights. So there are some unfortunate circumstances with how she's limited. She's got 9 shows. There's like 130 shows, and Matt Simber's sitting on a whole bunch of them, and so she's working with the shows that she's got when she puts together her DVDs. So that's why there's always been it's always been tough for fans to try and get the videos that they're looking for, because they're not all out there. There's not going to be a box set until all the footage is in one place.
Understandable. I'd love to thank you for coming on today. It's been a great pleasure having you on and your great interview.
Thanks, you guys. You take care. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you very much.